Hey guys, I'm Hunter from Ruck Outdoors. Today I wanted to take you along as I scout a new piece of public ground, new to me, that I'm going to be shotgun hunting in the upcoming weeks. Now the first thing I want to do is kind of draw a little bit of a map. I wish I could show you the aerial photo, but I'm not going to because that would give this location away, and I'm going to be hunting it, so I'm not going to do that. So basically, all this down here is there's the river and then some marsh. So I just put marsh, and there's some backwater lakes up in here, over here, and then there's a ridge line that runs all the way back to the back here. So I'm just gonna kind of sort of the boundary, and then up here is an ag field, and this is basically the same elevation as this. And so you have a field up in here, and all of this is private over here, and there's actually some private sections right down there too, two separate pieces. Now the parking lot is way up here, and what was really appealing to me about this piece of public ground is this is a really big piece of public ground on this marsh and over in here, and then there's pieces of private. Now this is basically the only piece of public around there with any elevation change, and this is basically one really big ridge line that kind of runs somewhat like that, and it falls off both sides down to the elevation. Pretty steep here for Iowa. So what I like about that is these are mature hardwoods, a lot of white oaks and good trees in there for the deer. And I really like these spots with elevation changes because it's a lot easier to kind of guess where the deer are going to be moving. And I forgot to mention there's actually a creek running somewhat like that. So I scouted this pretty intensively on the aerial photos with Google Earth and just getting a feel for the topography before I even went there. And I found two spots that looked really good. So this is actually a ravine right here, and this ridge line kind of comes to 2 points over here. So that's somewhat what the lines would have looked like. And so this is a really deep ravine up in here, and the woods are narrow right here. And like I said, all this marsh is down in here, and then this field. So what I'm guessing is this is the primary food source still in that area, even though it is harvested. And this is the bedding for the mature bucks, at least. I think you could have some mature buck bedding on these points too, on the end of these ridges, so they can overlook everything below them and see if any danger is coming, if they had the right wind from the north or whatever. But I think the majority of the big buck bedding is probably going to be in this marsh, and the feeding is up here. So I was really looking for a spot where I could intercept them coming to food, and I was just looking for what looks like it makes the most sense for them to travel to. So like I said, here's a marsh. If they're in their beds, I was looking for a spot where they would want to go to get to that ag field, and so I was looking for a shorter distance wise, but also an easier way around the terrain. So like I said, there's a ravine here, and what they usually like to do is follow these bottom of the ravines and kind of follow these saddles, and there's a little bit of a saddle up here, not too much as like mountain peaks and stuff, but it is just a little bit of a low spot up in here, and then they can go down to this inside corner of the field and come out there. So I thought that would look really good, and I thought we could set up right in here. One person can set up there. We are going to be shotgun hunting this year, so if we could overlook this marsh and the rest of this ravine here, I think that'd be really good. So this was a really good travel corridor that I thought I found. And then over here is another big marshy area with, there's this creek and a little bit of ag fields over here and some private land all up here. And so again, I'm thinking that this marshy area is the big buck bedding area, and if he wants to get to this ag field, which I assume is the primary food source, this is kind of a really easy area to figure out. They're not going to want to go over this really big hill unless they just want to feed on the hardwoods in there. And so if he wants to take the path of least resistance, he's going to go right up along this creek right here and in between the hill, because it kind of makes a bottom right there. And he's going to go out in the ag fields and then come back, or maybe he goes up right here and then goes down right here. But you know, they could go all over this place. We decided to put some boots on the ground yesterday, and we went out there. We walked this whole place, and I don't know if I mentioned, this place was at first really appealing to me because till about right in here, that's a mile off the nearest access, so you can get pretty far off the access, and I think that really helps with finding places mature bucks would want to live, and help with the pressure, especially during shotgun season. I don't want to be out there with a bunch of the Orange Army shooting at me, so I want to get away from the pressure. So, like I said, a mile off the road to about right here, and then you can get almost a mile and a half to the end of this ridge, and then there's a access point somewhere over here where it's actually even a little bit farther and you have to go through the marsh, so that's really hard. So I really believe there could be some mature bucks in here bedding, just because it's very remote, and I don't think it receives too much pressure. So that's kind of why I picked this spot in general. But we got some boots on the ground, and we went, kind of ignored all of this until we got to about this point, and we actually looked down the ridge and saw some deer moving down in this inside corner. And it looked to be, boy, there were quite a few deer. I think there were probably 5 or 6 of them, and there was one small buck, and we didn't notice any of the other ones were bucks, but he was kind of bumping some does around over there. They never knew we were there. This is actually an access road, and actually I think it's their access road for this property. It looks like he hunts a bit, which is the only concerning thing about this place, but I'll talk about that in a second. But we got to this point, saw those deer, and this is that ravine, and it kind of comes up to the saddle right in here. There's a nice trail going across, just like I thought there would be. And then it actually looks like they follow the points down around here more than they do the bottoms in this particular area. So really heavy trails coming along these points and then down into the marsh and this nice transition line. So this is kind of just like what I thought, other than they travel the points more than they do the bottom, I believe. So this spot, any of these trees along one of these points would be really good to set up at, and I think you could see some pretty good deer movement. Not to mention, if anyone is coming in and hunting this or pushing this, there's a lake here that's kind of landlocked from the rest of the river, and it kind of forces all the deer down here, and I think they're going to be wanting to take cover in this big marsh anyway. So I think that could be really good, just outright and not playing off the pressure. But even if there is pressure, it should push them down through here. And so I got done checking that spot out and went back up this access road. I found where it goes, actually goes into these properties right here, and we ended up staying on the ridge and then going down over the hill and kind of checking this spot out. And that spot looks pretty good. It's pretty open, and it's still going to be a good funnel there. I think the bedding is primarily out here. I'm not sure that there's going to be any bedding up on that point, but looks like a good spot there too. The only thing we don't like about this spot is it is close to this private land, and we did see a tree stand up on the edge there. So this access road did have a couple of tire tracks on it, some fresh tire tracks. which made it very quiet to walk on, which is nice. But I think this guy is going to be hunting, which isn't too big of a problem. It looks like he's been hunting there all fall, and obviously we saw deer just from the access road, so that was a good sign. And if he's just driving his truck all the way back there, it might be better than him even walking back and just spooking deer on foot. So that was our only concern with this place. We still think it's going to be really good hunting. We're looking forward to hunting it. We think there could be some big bucks in here with this marsh. They can avoid almost all the shotgun pressure and get back in here a ways. And they have a good food source there. But we think this is going to be a big area. Like I said, I think there could be some mature bucks in here. And the only thing we will be shooting in here are mature big bucks, because this is going to be a rough drag out of here. It's going to be over a mile either way we slice it. And we're going to, if it dies somewhere down here in the bottom, which it probably will in either of these bottoms, we're going to have to climb about, gosh, I don't know, it's a pretty steep hill. But we're definitely willing to do it if it's a big buck. And I actually like that because I think it's going to deter some pressure. The boots on the ground scouting kind of confirmed what I thought, and we plan to set up right in here, or this is another spot. There's kind of a point there that you can't see, but this could be a good spot. These two could be a good spot, and this could be a good spot. We're thinking this spot for the opening morning. We think this guy probably hunts, and this guy hunts. And so if we can get in there before the real pressure starts, we think this funnel could be good. And then we might shift our focus back over here somewhere, and just kind of play it by ear. We don't know what kind of pressure this receives, but there's a lot of public land around this area, so I'm hoping that helps. Alright guys, so I hope that helps. I know you guys probably enjoyed my nice drawing here, but I wanted to be able to show you guys kind of the pinch points and the travel corridors that I think we'll be hunting. Like I said, I think it's going to be a good spot. The only concerning thing is that access road, but we'll kind of have to play it by ear and see what happens. If nothing else, this was a really useful scouting trip, and just researching this, because next rut I think this place is going to be awesome. I mean, I haven't seen as many rubs as I saw just along that access road. There were just hundreds of rubs, so it really looks like a nice rutting corridor. And early October, they're all going to be in these hardwoods. Like I said, there's not very many hardwoods around, and these are all going to be dropping acorns, and they should be feeding in there instead of the ag fields. So I look forward to hunting that next October and next year during the rut. But we're going to give it a go sometime in shotgun season, and I'm sure I'll be bringing you guys the videos. Hopefully we get lucky and fill a tag, but I'd say you guys would see a video out of this place unless it is just terrible hunting, and I might not post it, but I'm guessing it's going to be a good spot, so I look forward to bringing you the content. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit the like button if this was helpful, and subscribe to Brunk Outdoors.